Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and good, whatever the time of day it is for you, because you are watching the show that is the best thing going on YouTube today. That is, of course, sketching past midnight live. If I could cue the little infographic, just in case you're a new viewer. And tonight we're going to dwell into the philosophical. We're going to go down that rabbit hole of the mind, examine all its inner workings, trying to figure out, make sense of this plane of existence that we find ourselves in. Looking at consciousness. What is it? No, we're not going to get into consciousness. That's a big one. you know. But anyway, I am, of course, your host, CB Smallwood, here with you on this. I think it's Sunday morning now, about 1:50 a.m. currently where I'm residing. I got a few things queued up here. Well, I guess, maybe, possibly. Tonight is not going to be too much of a kind of a show and tell type of episode. Hopefully I don't say, come on, work with me there. So this ain't going to be a big show and tell type of night. I will show a little bit. How about that? Here is page, I think it's page 3 of the hard case story that I'm working on. I like how it's coming together. I think it's looking pretty good. Added a few more details. Let me get my little handy dandy pencil out. And, on this one, then the added details, other than just a little bit of this, I guess you can call it feathering, whatever it is, this kind of like this implied shade on the steps. I added a bit of leaves and debris because I got to thinking if anyone actually used this to go down below this facility, more than likely they're going to attract over time that type of material. And you have to keep in mind, this is the post-apocalypse, and this facility's being run by a ragtag group of people, and so their focus is not on sweeping the steps and keeping it clean and tidy and all these other wonderful things that we find ourselves in modern society. So we're going to see a lot of that, And then over here on this panel, I had contemplated possibly, redrawing it, because it's probably my least favorite panel of this page. But here's the thing, and this is one of these free projects that I'm drawing. Free meaning make no money, and being as such, I got a lot of stuff that I need to do, a lot of stuff I need to get done to further my fledgling career as a comic artist. And so I'm going to have to, make some tough editorial decisions, and, I'm going to, continue to spruce up this panel, make it a little bit better, I'll make these guns look maybe like 10% better than how you see them right now. Well, maybe a little bit more than that. Add details to these guys in the back and all this other stuff. I mean, it's going to look good. Not particularly great. And I think one of the extra things that I'm going to do is going to do a lot of Jack Kirby shadow work. I am a fan of Jack Kirby, and I'm not saying that because that's just something that everybody says. Not to be a jerk to anybody that says it for the sake of saying it, but I really do admire Jack Kirby, because if you look at the way he would do panels and how he would add shadows and all this other stuff, it would make things pop in a really cool way. And it just made things look so professional and gave it a 3D look to it. And so that's one of the things I want to incorporate more in my art. If you look over here on this first panel, I had these cellar doors looking things, but I needed something to make it pop just a little bit more. So I just put a shadow here. Now, what is creating that shadow? It doesn't matter. There could be something over here, more than likely some object, or maybe a tree, maybe anything, who knows, and that is creating that. It doesn't matter so much what is creating the shadows in your scene as it is, well, what are the shadows doing for the scene? Is it making things pop? Is it making things look more real, more tangible? And so that's one of the things I try to do with shadows. So maybe over explain myself, over exerted myself with this conversation here. So scooting on down, we've got down to the bottom panel, trying to channel my inner George Perez or Carlos Pacheco, or however you pronounce his name, and really trying to cram in, lots of these refugees in the post-apocalypse. This is probably my favorite part of this thing. Well, one of them. It does have a Kubert vibe to it, Andy or Adam. You pick your poison. But over here, got a couple other favorites. I really like the woman, and I know you can't really tell, but that's a child. That's a child in her arms, and some of the stuff just came together fairly easy, and other stuff took a little bit of work, but pretty cool. My one big disappointment so far is her. I need to fix that. Everything from her bosoms. It's not satisfied with the look of those yet, and also the details on her face and stuff. I feel like could be better. So that's a concern of mine. So everything else though coming together really nice, and that's culminating to this page. If I can, pan up here just a little bit. There we go. So one problem I have is hypothetically her neck might be just a tad too long. It's probably, if I had to, I'm gonna say, if I was to take about that much off of her neck, I think it would just flow a little bit better. But you have to keep in mind, though, when it comes to the human body, no two are alike, and everybody's built different. Some people have longer necks, shorter necks, and stuff like that. But her neck is more closer to the men and women of this certain African tribe. I can't remember what it is, where they wear rings around their neck, and as they get older, they add another ring, and it helps to elongate the neck over time. But that's not what's happening with this lady. But I think it looks so cool that that I really don't want to mess it up. So I may just leave that in, just leave it as is. So that's kind of where I'm at, folks. I'm glad to have you with me tonight for however long you choose to stay. And check the comments right quick. No comments, no love for me, but that's okay. Chichikapong, let's get that off of there. And so I'm going to go ahead and get my mind centered, and I'm going to start to sketch a little bit, think a little bit, draw a little bit. All right, let's go ahead. Let's get started. Let me check this lid. I keep my utensils in my portfolio, and one of the troubles with that is I also keep my portfolio sometimes in my car, and it gets really cold, and I think lead does not do well with the cold, and so when I have fresh lead in it after a night out in the cold, I feel like it makes the lid more susceptible to break. Get all fancy here, get all whatever. So I'll probably have to replace this lid early into this video. All right, so the title of today's video, and I mentioned, getting into the psychology of things. I was talking about using anger as a motivator. Why anger of all things? There's different emotions that you can use. And the thing is, like, any human being, most human beings, whatever, emotions are fleeting. You don't stay in one um, type of mindset for for any length of time. It changes. Things ebb and flow. That's just the nature of things. And as such, you have to be able to work in these different mindsets. Does that make sense? And does it sound a little convoluted? It's sort of like, let's take comic books out of this equation, making comics or writing or being an actor or a professional wrestler or whatever it is that you get your kicks, whatever it is that excites you as a human being that you want to pursue and make that your way that you earn bread, that you earn money, that you exist on this planet. Moving beyond that, let's just talk about flipping burgers, okay? Let's say like you flip burgers for a living, right? And there's going to be days when you go in and you're not going to want to flip burgers. That's just how it is. But if you want to make money, you got to go in and flip those burgers, or else they're not going to need you anymore. So some people have a certain amount of skills that they have mastered that allow them to get through days when they just don't feel like doing it. They don't feel like putting in the mental effort in order to get through it. But you got to, right? Well, making comics or any other endeavor in life is no different. I mean, if you're trying to make a living at it, if you're trying to make progress in it, you can't always wait till you feel like you want to do it to go do it. Does that make sense? And there's times in your life, as just like there's times in my life, um, you feel very inspired. You're on the roller coaster of life, and the ride is going up like this. It's going up, and when it's going up, it's wonderful. Everything is optimistic. Everything is going great. Externally, with relationships, with the progress that you're making, with everything, and internally, how you feel about yourself, how you feel about your work, and other things. And so, as such, and on the roller coaster of life, we know that it's not always a upward tick because there are times when the roller coaster has to go down, and that's when we as people start to have a little bit of trouble when that roller coaster starts to go down. I mean, what do? Do you succumb to it? And sometimes you have to. A lot of people give a lot of different advice when it comes to getting bummed out or depressed or however you want to put it. But I think, in my opinion, it's only human to sometimes indulge that feeling, you know, allow yourself an hour, a couple hours, who knows, a day maybe at most, to revel in that, maybe to think about that, to reflect on that, but don't get lost in an emotion. Because if you remember in the other video, I talked about the inception of the mind, the mental aspect of getting lost in oneself. There is a danger, especially when being depressed or being bummed out or whatever, getting lost within yourself, and that's very dangerous. It's a very dangerous thing to do because it causes you to make terrible, terrible decisions that you otherwise would not have made had you not been in that state of mind. And the thing about the roller coaster of life is, just as you go up and you go down, you go back up again. And so, even in the worst parts of life, at some point, whether it's a day, whether it's a week, whether it's months, you will come back out of that funk. The light at the end of the tunnel is there. It's just all about, getting through it and stuff. But this video is not about depression, it's about anger. Righteous, furious anger. And how do we channel that? Because going back to what I was talking about earlier about the idea of what the crap was I talking about? The idea of like you've been in different mental states when you make comics or do anything in life, right? And you got to stay productive. Otherwise, you're not making comics, right? You got to keep busy. And sometimes you don't really feel like, making comics, but you got to. Otherwise, you just never do it. And so in that mindset, if you will, there's going to be times when you're happy. And when you're happy, it's so easy to make comics when you're in a good mood. And sometimes that can be counterintuitive because it can be destructive because you'll spend more time playing video games or hanging out with your significant other. Not that you should neglect your significant other, but you have to make time for comics. And if you get too happy, you'll end up doing everything but comics. That's a fact. Take that to the bank. Same thing with being sad. Sometimes being sad is a motivator to go out and draw. Because that's one of the things that make you happy, and then you got to draw something that brings you pleasure. Yeah, am I right? To uplift your mood. But being as such, if you revel in the sadness too much, then that can be every bit as destructive as being too happy. Yeah, and I know it's weird, and everybody's different. Well, today's video is about, of all the different emotions that you experience that you have to work through and channel to make it work for you. There's sadness, there's happiness, there's like, blah. Well, another one is anger. Anger. And about using anger as a motivator, as a thing that is kicks you in the butt to get things done. I'm really big into philosophy. If you, in case you didn't know, don't quiz me and ask me what are my favorite philosophers, because I'm not going to remember everybody. I like Bruce Lee. A lot of people would laugh at that, but Bruce Lee was a philosopher first and a martial artist second. His martial art of Jeet Kune Do was actually a philosophical art more than anything. You know, but I like stuff like the Taio and the dialogues of Plato. A lot of things where you ask questions. Just keep asking questions to come to an answer. Which a lot of his questions, though, when he would ask them, was designed to get a certain answer out of some of the people. Sometimes, but other times it was basically to think, to question, which is a good thing. We all need to think. We all need to question just a little bit more. And I've been doing a lot of these philosophical videos here lately, and I used to do a lot of them back in the day, and I just kind of got out of it because I don't know why. But I think people enjoy it. I think people enjoy me reveling in the philosophy because it's one or two reasons. Either there's some agreement in it, or it's just interesting. I think sometimes people like to watch my philosophical diatribes because it's like a car wreck. Like one of those really good ones where you can't look away. It doesn't make you a bad human being. I'm not going to get into the whole nature of that, why it's not necessarily bad that you look at car wrecks. It's part of the human condition to want to help or be wary of potential dangers and that sort of thing. It's all about survival. But really need to think about the design of this helmet. Anyway, I know this is going to sound dumb, but what I also like Elliot Hulse, Elliot, whatever Elliot's last name is. I ain't listened to him in forever, years actually. But one guy that I love, that I discovered several years ago, which I knew him as a professional wrestler in my childhood, and then he just kind of disappeared. A guy by the name of the Ultimate Warrior. Let's see. Sideburns is here with us tonight. Can't get the infographic to pop up. What's the deal with that? But he says, "Hey, CB, hello. Glad that you're here." Go back to my banners. Get off of that. There we go. All right. Before going any further, just looking through the camera, this is looking pretty good. Technology is one of these things that I want to work on and incorporate. I want to put some more Kirby tech into what I do. Also, some John Byrne. I like the way he does tech. It's similar to Kirby, but he's got his own thing too. Drinking some water, and I need to figure out how I'm going to do this helmet. Kind of just spitballing it so far, but here's the trouble. Once I get this helmet rendered, I'm going to have to draw everybody else the same way, and that's going to be a thing. So I got to make sure that when I put it on here, and I'm not sure why there's a helmet. This is just something that a lot of guys in the '90s, when they would draw helmets and do that sort of shtick, they got it from Star Wars, because it seemed like the people that were working at it's not the Battlestar, whatever that thing is called, that big ball that shoots lasers. It kind of hurts my nerd cred. But the Death Star, yeah, that's it, the Death Star. But anyway, yeah, the Death Star. So the guys that would work at the control panels and stuff, they had helmets and stuff on. So all these guys in the '90s that were drawing comics, they kind of picked up on that, and they started to do that themselves, and it looks cool. And so, why change something that's working pretty good? So these guys wear helmets too. And actually there's a lot of grit right here, unintentional grit, and so I'm just kind of going to go with it and rock with it. Hell, you just don't want to hear this. You want to hear about the anger. The anger. All right, I'll get back to it. I got sidetracked. One more hello here. Jeremy Burtz writes, hello, CB. Glad to have you here, Jeremy. Okay, get off of that. So, all right. So one of my favorite philosophers, believe it or not, is the Ultimate Warrior. The Ultimate Warrior of the WWF, and then later on WWE fame. Had started out as a really cool WCW run, and then quickly fizzled out because I think he stole Hulk Hogan's thunder. Well, anyway, this guy ended up going on like after he kind of left professional wrestling, he went on to do like college tours or something, where he'd do public speaking. I think he was a Republican. Not that really matters, but like he was heavy into politics at one point. He even released his own comic book called The Warrior. He got into a copyright battle with WWE over the name, The Ultimate Warrior, and I think he actually legally changed his name to The Ultimate Warrior so he could, control that. And sometime in 2000 and 2010s, somewhere in there, I'm probably wrong, 2010s. We'll say that just for the hell of it. The Ultimate Warrior started doing these little fireside chats, if you will. Usually it's near a weight bench or in his barn or something like that. And he talk about life, And I remember really listening to him a lot, and Elliot Hulse, or whatever Elliot's last name is, who coincidentally is also a bodybuilder. I don't know what the thing is with that. Is that some weird fetish? I don't know. Don't you just get all Freudian on me and start studying me. I'm gonna be pissed. But anyway, golly, you need to watch it. It's called One Warrior Nation. One Warrior Nation. And he has the YouTube videos are still up, even though, he's passed away and everything. And I think his wife and kids, they kind of run that account now, And in those videos, he talked about the idea that you need to get angry sometimes. You need to get mad about where you're at in life. He would meet a lot of people in his travels. Some people would ask advice, send him questions of what, this and that and all this other stuff, and one of his big retorts or replies to whatever it is that they're asking him is like, you're, some of these people would send the same question, or they rewrite the same question different ways, and they're still talking about the same topic. And his attitude is like, you need to get angry. You don't need to be all mamby pamby about stuff, because damn it, it's your life. Your life has meaning. I mean, you're special. I mean, like, you're not like special in terms of like you're better than anybody else, but you're special that we're all unique on this earth, and life is a precious thing. It's a precious thing that we're given. And sometimes we get complacent in our lot in life. We get comfortable. And his thing was, he'd get up and he he'd have to have his cup of coffee every morning, because if he didn't have his coffee, he couldn't get up and go and do his thing, and you could tell he deeply resented that, because I think he saw the coffee as a drug, as something that was more powerful than him, that, somehow he wouldn't have the energy or the motivation to get through the rest of the day. And that just pissed him off even more. And so, Ultimate Warrior that I'm talking about here, he get angry about things. And man, when he get angry and he would talk in the camera, he was talking to you, he was talking to me, he was talking to everybody. And it was almost like a father figure ain't the right word. It's like, like your actual daddy or kinfolk or somebody like that, having a come to Jesus meeting, very intense, freaking veins popping out of his neck, and his face getting blood red, and the thing is, he ended up having a heart attack a couple years later. Oh, it's terrible, terrible to say, And I'm not making fun, I'm just being honest here. But think about that. But anyway, he had a word for it, this thing, this complacency that you get into, where you just kind of you get comfortable. And his shtick was to get up and he'd drink his coffee in the morning, because he had to have it. And on his way to work, he would listen to talk radio, and then he'd let that stuff work him up, because to be fair, the politics stuff is and it isn't important. You know what I mean? Because the policies do impact your life and other people's lives and all that other crap, blah, 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 blah. So it does matter, but at the same time, it doesn't matter, because for most of us, not all of us, but for most of us, nothing that we say or think is going to change the outcome of what a lot of these people in powerful places are going to do. So we end up making ourselves miserable. And just as important, we get mad at our fellow man over it. And a lot of these people that are driving the anger, who work in Washington, they're best friends behind the scenes, and they're making money through Ponzi schemes and money laundering, through these big bills. I'm not going to get into the whole thing, but yeah, it's a big money scam in Washington, and every year, it's a joke. The same topics pop up every year, and they make me mad at you and you mad at me on Facebook. We're just all angry, and it, excuse my language, it's fucking stupid, to waste all that anger and on each other, because at the end of the day, we want the same things. Well, in very crude general terms, we just have different ways that we want to go about to make those things happen. And a lot of people in politics want to divide everybody, because there's a big interest in keeping everybody divided, because if we actually took a look at where money was going and stuff, and paid a real close attention, and then we looked at the quality of our lives, we'd be upset. But they want to keep us upset at all the wrong things. But anyway, but we don't need to waste that anger. Anger is an emotion, that can have a positive side just like it can have a negative. Hence the title of this video, using anger to work for you, not against you. And as a motivator, King Crow writes, cacao ahoy there, folks. I'm glad that you're here, King Crow. Thank you. So, I'm chugging this water like it's no other. This panel's turning out okay. I think it's looking sort of high tech. But enough about that. Let's get back on my soapbox. Let's see, I need to make this neck kind of go a little bit like that, maybe. I feel like it looks more appealing to my eye when it's doing that. So anyway, making anger work for you, channeling that anger to make your life better. That's where anger really pays off in wonderful ways. Let's see here. Now the other guys in the other panel, I kind of drew them with these goggle things, so I want to go in that route. So let's see here. So anyway, Ultimate Warrior, and that was his whole big thing, and anger as a motivator is one of the things that he taught and preached, because he lived it, and he was a guy that actually studied a lot of philosophy himself, and I'm not going to go and paraphrase a bunch of Ultimate Warrior stuff because I can't remember word for word or anything like that. It's more about the essence, picking up the essence of what someone is trying to say, where they're kind of coming across, And so I would encourage you to check out the One Warrior Nation stuff on YouTube. And, pick a random video. It might be the one that tickles your fancy, or it might just be like, you know what, this guy's insane. No. That's a hard no for me, CB. But if you like it, it floats your boat. Good for you. Well, thanks a lot there. But anyway, let's zoom in here so you can see what I'm kind of doodling, There went the internet. Okay, we're back. We're back. Basically, once you get past the Earth, past our solar system, past this galaxy into other galaxies, and it just on and goes, and just how infinitely small, and we're not even, the word small doesn't even comprehend what we are. What does anything matter? But I argue it does, because if we look at things at the cosmic level, which sometimes helps, we get lost, and then we don't function. We're like a broken piece of machinery, and we're just miserable and all this other stuff. I mean, we're still living on this planet. We can't daydream about outer space all the time, so we need to stay centered, and your life matters. Is all I'm saying. And so if it matters, and you're not having much progress, luck in your life, I mean, what do? You just sit there and just cry yourself to sleep or something, I mean, yeah, I mean, when things don't go your way, don't work out the way you want them to, you need to get mad. I'm not saying that you get mad at other people for your problems. No, 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 no. Don't misquote me here, okay? Or take it the wrong way. I'm talking about like you've got it's dead of winter and you live in freaking Alaska and your back is sore and your knees are blown. You got an elbow, it doesn't turn right or any of that stuff, and it's getting cold and it's starting to get late, and the fireplace is out of kindling. So what are you going to do? Cover up in three or four, 10 blankets, hope for the best, or are you going to go out and cut the firewood? Even though you ache from head to toe, you're in your 60s or 70s or 80s, and there's a lot of wear and tear in your body. You got to go out and cut it. There's nobody else to cut it. You're in freaking Alaska. You live by yourself. So you need to get mad. You need to get angry. Grab that axe. Get all shining up in there. Chop that wood up. And that's the beauty of anger. Using it the right way, not the wrong way, where we just sit and hate each other because, we voted for this person or that person, or we support this policy or that policy. Because the fact is, we all can be ignorant. We can be wrong. We're not evil. Take that anger and put it in a good place. Make it work for you. And if you find that as you pursue your career in comics, whether it be a writer, inker, litter, colorist, whatever, artist, or you just want to be a writer, an actor, a bodybuilder, I don't know, it doesn't matter. Just whatever tickles your fancy, um, whatever it may be. And things are kind of stagnant, you need to get mad. You need to do something to get up and get motivated to start making the changes in your life that you need to make, because they're not going to change themselves. And even though everyone's wonderful and beautiful and all this other stuff and yada 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 yada, no one's going to care more about your situation than you. And a lot of people don't know what you're going through, or what you've been through, or what you're going to go through, because nobody sees the future, right? Or, that used to be a thing. Everybody in the 90s could see the future. There's all kinds of shows that said so, but those kind of went to the wayside, I guess. Stupid atheist, it's ruined everything. Suck the fun out of life. Quit, quit debunking stuff. Uh, so, anyway, it's kind of got a bit of a J. Scott Campbell feel. So, I need to maybe I have to box it out, I think. I've got a kind of open concept right here, but then it's gonna clash. And I was thinking maybe I could cheat and maybe like do like some cross hatching and make it go up here, kind of like thing where it like blends between these two. But I don't think my cross hatching is that tight enough to really pull that off. So I may have to be a little loser about it and just just kind of just square everything out. But yeah, sometimes when I get in a funk and things ain't going right, I allow myself to get angry at myself, because I am the captain of my ship. I'm in control of my destiny for the most part, with a few exceptions. And being as such, and I happen to be born in a nation full of opportunities, even though they get limited day by day. But I'm at a place where I have internet, I have electric, I have opportunities. And for me not to capitalize on them, I mean, what does that say about me? It just says that I'm allowing my emotions to get the best of me, that I'm allowing apathy to seep in and to kind of dictate, who I'm going to be. I say, screw that. What phone? What are you ding dinging about? uh, The Magnificent Lion's Den writes, "Yo, is your phone charged?" It is currently at 58%, and I have a extension cord handy. Yes, so I'm good until everybody gets bored, or I get bored, or well, I have to go to bed sometime. That type of thing. And I'm adding. I know you can't really tell right now, but I'm adding a lot of stubble because this is the post-apocalypse, and not everybody's going to have time to shave regularly. And I don't even know why he would even shave, other than the fact that to keep up appearances, because you got all these people here, and they need to see that somebody's in charge, that somebody's got it together, because they've seen friends and loved ones and strangers die in horrific ways, and being kidnapped and all this other stuff. And so that's one of the reasons they wear uniforms, other than protection, and one reason that they probably all shave, because it's a sense of order, because whoever is running the security here at this facility, they're also needing to maintain discipline and order. And so, hence, shaving and that sort of thing. But of course, being the post-apocalypse, you're not going to be able to get to that every single day. There's the situation on the ground changes, yada, yada, yada. Anyway, anger as motivation. Who knows what the heck I was saying before, but I feel like I'm going to turn the head that way, but now it's all weird looking. But I allow myself to get angry at myself, because I'm in charge of me and what I do. And sometimes when I feel like I'm getting behind, or I'm not doing what I should be doing, I do get mad. I get, it's not like this feigned anger. It's legit. It's like, why would you allow this to happen to yourself, to where you're getting behind, you're not getting stuff done? I mean, who's going to do this stuff? The fictitious you in your mind, you know. Uh, and so you kind of have to kick yourself in the butt and say, "Hey, enough is enough. Do you want to be a comic book artist or not? Do you want to be a writer or not, or inker, or professional wrestler, or whatever the hell you want to be? Do you want to be that thing or not? Because if you do, you need to kick your ass in gear and go out and make it happen. And it's not going to be easy. No one's going to give it to you. And there's actually people that don't want you to have it. Not to be conspiracy theory about it or not, it's the truth. Some people are just wired evil in evil ways, and they don't want you to advance in life. You know, some people see that as competition. It's weird, but anyway, um, there's going to be a lot of roadblocks, a lot of setbacks, and stuff like that, and that channeling that anger, making it work for you, and going a little bit further. Let's get a little. Let's channel our inner nerd, if you will. And basically, I'm a fan of Star Wars. On a scale from 1 to 10, I would say that I am a 6.5 Star Wars nerd. 10 being like as high as it goes in terms of like knowledge and love of the franchise and stuff like that. So my 6.5 love of Star Wars, right? And in the Star Wars universe, there are Jedi, which are the good guys. They are the space wizards. And then there are the bad guys, who are the evil space wizards, and they're called the Sith. Okay. And I feel that it's appropriate that, since I'm talking about like using anger as a motivator, anger as a positive force as opposed to a negative one. Um, let's talk about the fictitious Sith here, and just indulge me here. A lot of people get all cranky and anally, when you bring up fictitious characters as ways to learn about things about yourself and life, and how you would apply it. I mean, this is these archetypes and stuff like that, from the Dragon Slayer all the way to your modern Superman and stuff. Goes back, to ancient times, to the myths of the Greeks and freaking Romans, and even older civilizations, to the Sumerians and Mesopotamia, and going even further back to civilizations that have just been lost to time because a lot of people don't consider that there's such a thing as asteroids and natural calamities, ice ages, and who the hell knows. An ocean overtaking most of the planet for all we know. A lot of different things have happened to humanity throughout the centuries that have caused us to restart and lose a lot of information. But anyway, one common thing though is through each restart and everything like that, we've always looked at myths and legends and religion stories as ways to look at our lives and figure out what they mean. So let's talk about the Sith, okay? So the Sith are the evil space wizards in Star Wars, and their religion, their way of life is seen very taboo. Like you cannot indulge the anger, you cannot indulge passion or emotions because it's seen as dangerous to the Jedi. It's the path to the dark side, which there is some truth to that. But really, the path to the dark side, in my opinion, is any time when you revel in any type of extreme in life and you stay there. Excess. Like, let me give you a couple examples. Talking about just health wise, if you was to eat nothing but bacon all the time, breakfast, lunch, dinner, everything you consume was bacon. Don't be surprised when you have lard in your veins. Okay, that's not me preaching. That's just me, being fact. Now, some people are wired differently, and their body is really good at processing stuff, and they may never get lard in their veins. But the majority of people probably would develop that. But is bacon bad? No. Everybody needs a little bit of bacon, just not too much. But at the same time, let's look at something that everybody promotes like it's the greatest thing on earth, which is water. Water. Did you know that if you drink too much water, you could die? Oh, I know this. I know this for a fact. Not because I've died from drinking water and come back alive, but because there was a contest sometime in the 2000s. It was a radio station that was doing a contest where they had people try to drink the most water, and whoever drank the most water won like insane amounts of money or something like it. I don't know, whatever. Well, someone would have won had they not died from drinking too much water, you know. And water's supposed to be this super healthy, wonderful, fantastic thing. How could that happen? Well, it can, and to me, life is all about moderation. You don't want to do too much of one thing, or you end up getting burned out and destroyed and stuff like that. It just, you suffer burnout, okay? Either through burnout of the spirit or the burnout of the body. It's just what happens. And so in this fictitious universe of Star Wars, I think Jedi fear burnout. But they take it to an extreme themselves by trying to purge emotions and relationships from their being, from their vocabulary, and that's wrong too. That's getting into like Buddhism. Nothing wrong with Buddhism, but Buddhism seeks to get rid of attachments and stuff, which there is a lot of good idea, philosophy behind that, the merit behind that, because if you're too attached to this person or that person and all this other stuff, you become possessive. And when you start becoming possessive of other people, that's where you get into dangerous territory. That's where you get into some dark waters because you don't own anyone else. Heck, for that matter, you don't even really own yourself because as you get older, you start to realize that your body starts to rebel against you. It's got its own ideas and agendas and plans, and The spirit may want to go one way, but the body wants to go the other. So in some ways, you don't even really own your body. It's on lease. It's temporary. But unlike the Buddhists and the Jedi, I just think it's wrong of the idea of denying ourselves any type of passion in our lives. To not allow warmth in our heart, feel occasionally angry or sad or anything. Because we can't be like freaking Spock from Star Trek, which I'm more of a Star Trek fan than anything when it comes to famous nerdums. um, you got to be more Captain Kirkish. If you watch the original series, which I didn't watch a lot of the original Star Trek, but you had three key characters which they would use to explore philosophy a little bit, which was Spock, Captain Kirk, and Dr. McCoy. Spock was devoid of all emotion. He was pure facts, and that was his shtick. Dr. McCoy was pure emotion, so he would make emotional decisions. And in Captain Kirk, what made him cool was, and he never gets credit, his character never gets credit for this, is he was a combination of both. He would weigh the emotion of uh, Dr. McCoy with the pure analytical facts, logic of Spock. And he would come to what would be the most sane solution to a difficult problem or that type of thing, And so Captain Kirk, going from Star Wars to Star Trek, represents the ideal man, who gets the green babes while at the same time thinks about complex problems, And sometimes he leans more towards the pure logic and sometimes more of the emotion, But the danger is if you go to either extreme, if you go pure Vulcan, Spock, then you're going to be very cold in your decision making and you're going to make decisions that sometimes are pretty heartless, but is the logical way to go, where the needs of the many outweigh the few, which is very anti individual liberty. They never talk about that in Star Trek for a reason. But then if you go Dr. McCoy route, you're always being overly emotional, and then you're not making tough decisions that allows people to survive, because sometimes there's no easy answers. Anyway, let me answer a couple of these comments, questions, and stuff like that, and I'll get back to my philosophical rant here. Cult Film Video says, I think it was for a PS2. They won the insane amount of money by dying. Interesting. Let's see. Lazarin 442. Not too many superheroes have beards. And bacon is not bad. It is not bad. Not at all. Let's see. But on the comment about not too many superheroes have beards, that's true. Aquaman has had a beard off and on in the last couple of years. He works that pretty well. Let's see. Lions Den writes, stubble are lines and dots, but right now I'm done with my little sickness, so getting my pages done with pencils for inking. So how's your comic coming along? It's going pretty good. Which everybody should check out the Lions Den channel. Subscribe to that because he's getting into live streaming, and he's got like a stack of drawings, not drawings, but comic pages, comic that he's that thick. And he's starting over, and he's leveling up, and he's redrawing his comic and everything. It's looking awesome. It's coming together in a really cool way. But as far as like how my comic's going, it's going pretty good. I've got. I know I didn't show this before, but here is the Wildcat anthology page that I was working on, and I kind of just took a break on it because, and I may talk more on this here in a minute, but like, I ran out of enthusiasm. Like the page is coming together, I think fairly nice, but at the same time, it's like I sometimes get these points where I just like I lose my freaking mind, and I just got to do something different. So typically, what I do is when I'm working on a project, I have one main project. My main project right now is the Wildcat anthology. Okay, so that's my priority, and so when I work on it, I tell myself that every day or every other day when I'm working on it, I'll be like, okay, for example, like I want to get this panel done today, and if I get this panel done, I'll treat myself to working on this hard case comic, or just some other project that I'm working on, and that way I'm always making progress and I'm not getting burned out. And it's not the best way to do things, and in the future I'm going to need to change that, change the way I do things because um, being a jack of all trades and a master of none is not a good way to go, because I need to get stuff done at the end of the day. And right now it's allowing me to make progress and to get better and just get myself out there. But as time goes on, I'm going to need to double down and really focus because, like I said, I need to get stuff done. I need to get my head in gear, and I've been thinking a lot about that. Um, Trying to cut out a lot of stuff. And because the more commitments that I do, the more it takes me away from working on Wildcat and stuff like that. And I always end up finding myself in these commitments because I'm sometimes I get like Jim Carrey in that movie. I forgot what it's called, where he's the yes man, says yes to everything. But it's like it's hard for me to say no because uh, I've seen a lot of opportunities in my life where I've said no, or maybe this or maybe that, and then they go away and I miss out on something cool. So I find myself more often than not saying yes to things. And it gets me in a little bit of trouble. Sometimes I still say no, but it's difficult. I'm kind of shading this in so I can get a gander. Let's look at some more comments. Sideburns writes, just bacon is perfectly doable since it's up ketone production, which may even reduce body fat. See, that's the thing. It's yeah. Hmm. I don't even know what I was going to say, but that's the thing. How about that? I'll just double down on it. I'll be like President Biden. Yeah. uh, Moderation in things is the key. I agree. I am the priest of moderation, even though I don't even practice it. So what am I? I'm the hypocrite, which a lot of people these days are hypocrites, and I'm not throwing that out at you guys. I'm just saying in general. So many people are fake. You know, I'm honest about my fakery though. I feel like I am. Yeah, I know I'm a fraud. I'm working on it, trying to be the real deal. For anyone curious, Lions Den says Jaser Comics. That's his channel. It's his channel right there. So Jayser Comics, and check it out. You can actually see the comic projects that he's been working on and everything like that. That big thick stack of comics. So check that out. Sideburns writes, it's called Yes Man. Laugh out loud. All right, cool. That's a happy accident. That's a good movie, by the way. I'm not gonna say it's like a great mind blowing movie, but I always enjoy watching it. I like that guy that they had at the beginning, and that was like the Tony Robbins inspired public speaker. I can't remember it. seen him act in other things, and he's just really good. He's a very rich actor, makes that covenant with Jim Carrey. It's pretty cool. Okay, so let me focus here. Got a lot of cool things going on here. I'm not going to do too much with their costumes because I need to figure out like some really cool type of clothing to put here other than this bodysuit look. So that's going to be something I'm going to work on. Um, this panel's pretty much done, because I imagine when it comes time to color, if that ever happens, I like the color green with sci-fi, so this would be like green, and maybe like the green will, reflect off of this crap, and the buttons would be lit up like kind of like yellow with some red. And I think that would look awesome. Nice contrast, and then that contrast would show through this room too because everything's in the dark. Which brings us down here. I wanted to bring hard case back into the picture and show that there's the two of them are talking through kind of like a headset thing, even though she has cybernetics implanted in her. So why would she even need that? All right. So getting back, anger, it's Motivator. It's talking about went from Star Wars to Star Trek. Let's get back to freaking Star Wars, Sith, evil wizards. But are they really evil wizards? Because you have to remember, history is told through the eyes of the victor, and so one example of all history is the enemy, no matter who the enemy is usually demonized and overly demonized, not just for the evil that they do, but also some stuff is just either taken out of context or outright lies. And history is filled with a lot of stuff like that. And I'm not going to say this or that or whatever. But history really is written by the victors. And when it comes in the case of the Sith, you have to keep in mind that the Star Wars universe is told through the point of view of the perspective of the Jedi, which basically means the Jedi in the end up winning the intergalactic war. But the whole thing with the Sith is about embracing your emotions, using those emotions to work for you, to get stuff done, to not bury them like the Jedi, but to embrace them. If you watch the prequel trilogy, the one that features Anakin Skywalker and all this other stuff, that movie is those movies are interesting because the whole time you've got this young boy who needs counseling and stuff like that, and he's rejected by most of the Jedi, with the exception of Qui-Gon, whatever his name is, Qui-Gon, and Obi-Wan Kenobi. But everybody else rejects him, even though he's very powerful and he has great potential and all this other stuff. And every time, he's needing to process his emotions, because like his mother is, I can't remember if it was implied that she got raped by the Sand People, but I'm just kind of throwing that out there. To the point to where she ended up dying from internal injuries. Think about that. Ponder that with your Star Wars trivia. Maybe that happened. Maybe it didn't. Maybe it's just a sick mind that interpreted that. But regardless, she did end up dying, and she was enslaved, and the Jedi made no attempt to free his mother from this slave bondage. Which is interesting. The whole thing of Jedi is they are reactionary. They wait till this or that happens and they just react to it. The thing with the Sith is the opposite. They see problems, they see where things go, and they are proactive in it. And so they take active measures to prevent things and all this other stuff, without looking at particulars of the movie. It's just a general philosophy. And the problem with the Sith philosophy in the movies is where they draw strength from their emotions, from their passions. Um, a lot of Sith masters do turn to the dark side because they entertain that so much and they focus on that so much that they take it into a dark direction. The Jedi also go to extremes by purging themselves of emotions, of feelings, and stuff like that, and of attachments. But the interesting thing is, if you look at the character of Luke Skywalker, he was a blend of the Jedi way and the Sith way because he did embrace his emotions. He did not turn them off. He represented, the kind of the new way of being a Jedi. You needed both. You needed balance. The sequel films were supposed to be kind of about that in a way, about bringing balance to the Force. Oh gosh. I wonder if I'm just boring everybody with this. If this is like going too far, just you're kind of losing me there. I could talk about what erasers that I use. How about that? Talk about my favorite brand of eraser. Talk about my favorite pencils. Will that be entertaining? I'm not liking how this face is shaping up. I mean, in person, it doesn't look that bad, but on camera, it kind of looks a bit shoddy. Yeah. You know what? I just got to roll with it. I can't give up. I find that there was a really good expression. I was watching a video by Richard. It's not Richard Pace, is it? Richard Friend, Richard something another. I forgot Richard's name. Forgive me. Forgive me, Richard, if one day you happen on this video and you're like, screw you, CB. Whatever Richard's name is. Um, he's a comic book professional. He's inked stuff. He's drawed stuff. And he had this really great quote. This ain't word for word. This is just something he just kind of crapped out. But the essence of it was that when you're working on comics, um, you're going to hit these patches where things are just not working out. They just don't look good, and you got to learn to work through that feeling. And that's not word for word what he said, but that's kind of like the essence of it. And that's one of the things that I'm trying to develop to get good at is, when I first start drawing something, it looks like total utter crap, but I have to fight that feeling and work through it because otherwise that's what it will be. It'll be nothing but crap. So I just have to keep doodling and doodling and doodling. And then the fear overcomes me of like, if I doodle too much, I'm going to muck up what good I do have on the page. Freaking burping here. So getting back to the Sith. Let's see. The Lion's Den writes, the story of Star Wars is told by the wise, the wise. Oh, the wise of the Force. Yes, yes. That was the direction that George Lucas was going to go into the new sequel trilogy until Disney bought him out. He was going to get into that stuff. Story of the Star Wars is told by the wise of the Force, and Obi-Wan never saw Anakin as the chosen one. Only Qui-Gon saw Anakin as the chosen one. Yeah, the Qui-Gon is actually one of the most influential characters in the Star Wars universe because it in the canon, I think, in the backstory of that character, he actually researched a lot of stuff, and it was researching prophecies and bringing balance to the Force and stuff like that. This was not something that was widely shared between all the Jedi of that time. And so basically, a lot of that philosophy was infused in some ways or another into freaking Obi-Wan, and then passed on in some ways or another into freaking Luke Skywalker. So um, it's interesting. It's interesting. It's all good stuff. But but I think it's interesting. The history is told by the victors, and the story of Star Wars is the story of the Jedi, but it's also the story of the Sith. And I think about, like, how they use anger in what they do to get stuff done. They use that as a motivator, and Sith tend to be more powerful than Jedi. Not always, because the Jedi, well trained Jedi anyway, they don't really embrace their passions. They suppress them. And going back to the main thing about the Star Wars movies of Anakin Skywalker, the prequels, in those movies, the way the Jedi treat him is terrible, because they do give him a place to live, and they train him, but at the same time, they're always telling him to suppress his emotions. He never has a chance to process how he feels about his mother being a slave, how he feels, um, even though it's a secret, his relationship with Padme and all this other stuff. That's the only type of outlet he gets, is with her. And in some ways or another, without them actually saying it, the Jedi basically over and over in their own ways telling him to just man up, just be a man. you know, and life's tough, just get over it. And life is tough, and some stuff you should try to get over, but at the same time, life is hard, and you need to process that, because when you don't process how you feel, when you don't look at life in general and really think about it deeply from time to time, then the feelings of fear, anger, resentment, and hatred start to build in you. All these dark emotions. And essentially, the Jedi, without even realizing it, they created Darth Vader, because at every step of the way, he tried to ask them for help. He tried to, figure out why it is that he feels the way he feels. Uh, Sideburns writes, "I disagree with some of your points on the Jedi, but CB is spinning a good trick." Spoken like a true Jedi. You need to feel unlimited power. And should you try it? Well, Darth Sidious would say yes. Anakin to Darth Vader is a story of failure of the father figure. That's true. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, the Jedi truly did create that mess. I mean, they can't be blamed for everything. I mean, if you carefully watch the prequels, the character of what is his name, Jar Jar Binks. He was originally intended to be a Sith Lord. He was going to be like the dark version of Yoda, and the way the fans received him kind of really ruined that, and they changed it to Count Dooku. But anyway, if you watch the originals, you see that at very pivotal moments in Anakin's life, Jar Jar Binks was using the Force and was manipulating things and doing subtle things, and he was implanting ideas in Anakin's head, saying things that were opposite of how the Jedi would say things. And usually he would do them out of earshot of the Jedi. There's a lot of shady stuff going on there with Jar Jar. And there's a lot of evidence to back up the fact that he was a Sith Lord, and it's not just a bunch of conjecture. But also the fact that, I mean, what the heck is, how did he, of all the people, emerge to be a general with the freaking his people, whatever they're called, the fish people. How did he end up standing beside Darth Sidious, Emperor Palpatine? On that platform. What's so special about him to get up there? He does have those orange Sith eyes. But anyway, it's just interesting. I'm just saying that the Jedi ain't fully to blame for Anakin Skywalker, but they sure didn't help things either. They really didn't. Um, you think about the idea that they say with the Sith masters, that you never see more than two, but that's not necessarily true, because there's usually like other people that's waiting in the wings. If you watch a lot of Star Wars stuff, lot of other Sith pupils waiting in the wings to move up the ranks. Otherwise, the order would have died a long time ago. So why did they say that where there's one, there's always another, or always two? No more than two. Well, I think it's because like where they deal so much with emotion and they focus so heavily on emotions that very few people can be legit disciples of the practice of being a Sith master because uh, if you're not careful, those emotions will overtake you. You'll go full crazy with it. Because I think the Sith teach control of emotions, uh, while the Jedi seem to they on the surface seem like they teach control of emotions, but they actually try to purge emotions. It's a very different thing. uh, let's see. Let's see. I'm missing some stuff here. Now that is some pod racing indeed. I think that's more of a fan theory about Jar Jar. Well, you could be right, but I don't know. I would encourage you to investigate this fan theory. I think that um, I enjoy fan theories, looking into them, but I think this one is true. I really do. I mean, don't take my word for it. Of course, you won't, but really look into it because a lot of people has broken it down, really analyzed it and stuff, and there's a lot of key things in there. Uh, there's such overwhelming circumstantial evidence, and you kind of look at how Count Dooku was kind of just thrown in there. I think was it the second movie? And by the second movie, the outcry of Jar Jar was so loud. I think George Lucas is the type of guy like, all right, well, screw it. I'll change it up because if you look at the what George Lucas did on the prequels, what did he do with the prequels? The prequels were, I don't want to say they're an exact copy, but they were the copy of the original trilogy. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, basically, you had in the original trilogy, your main guy was Luke Skywalker. In the prequels, the main guy is Anakin. The story of his father. The story of the original Star Wars films was the story of the Jedi, of the return of the Jedi, basically. And the story of the prequels was basically the return of the Sith. Um, and you see, like early on, a lot of the same beats were happening and stuff like that. Of course, there's a lot of different stuff in there. They had the clone army show up and Attack of the Droids and all this other stuff. So there are those differences. But underneath it all, there's the same kind of recipe was there, and um, Jar Jar was supposed to be the Dark Yoda. He was supposed to be one of the guys pulling the strings behind the scenes, corrupting young Anakin's mind and stuff like that. I don't know. Look into it. Who knows? Could be full of crap. But I know the actor who played Jar Jar. He will not talk about it. So that should tell you something. And actually, that the actor, that poor guy who played Jar Jar, I don't know. Don't quote me on this. This might be more full of crap than anything I've said tonight. But I think the poor guy who played Jar Jar may have tried to kill himself. I'm not for sure, but he was. Um, Yeah, you may have to look into that. George Lucas just thought kids would love him. Yeah, that's his whole big thing when he does his Star Wars movies. Usually when he does a sequel to any of them, he always tries to keep in mind kids when he does his stuff, and he that's part of the reason. Like I think it was in the third film. I could be wrong. The original films where we got introduced to um, the Ewoks, And at the time, some people like the Ewoks, and other people's like, oh, this is kind of a little hokey, because I don't know how many years had passed since the first and the second or whatever films had went on, and some people had grew up and their taste had, you know, changed, little more adult, sophisticated, or more gory or whatever, and Ewoks don't necessarily fit that thing, but and he's really big into catering to the kids, and as one of the ideas behind Jar Jar. But I think that was going to be a cool plot twist, and we just never got it. And I was really hoping in the freaking new trilogy that we got that they would have redeemed Jar Jar by just picture this, like Jar Jar shows up in I don't know. I don't know if I don't what is that Ryan Johnson film? Is it Last Jedi? I can't remember what it's called. It would have been cool if he showed up there, or if in the third one or something, but preferably the second ones when he probably needed to show up. Like General Jar Jar is here to help us. Oh, me so glad to help you. Me so glad to kill you. And his voice gets all deep and his eyes get funny. been a little hysterical, but at the same time it'd be cool, and then it would justify everything that happened in the first film or whatever. Talking out my butt a little bit, but whatever. The Rule of Two was made by Revan because the Sith was killing themselves for power. Ah, that's cool. Did not know that. Did not know that. But that would make sense. I think that would give credence to my theory or the idea that there's always been more Sith kind of lingering around, people like playing around with the Sith stuff, but only two were allowed to really get into it because, um, in my opinion, people just they lose their stuff, you know. So I think that, yeah, yeah, I think that backs up what I'm saying. I could be wrong. The Rule of Two began because during the Old Republic era, thank you, Sam Tepper. Uh, the Rule of Two began because during the Old Republic era, the Sith were infighting with each other, which wasn't very practical. Yes, I agree. Let's see. Cyburns writes the first about the Dark Yoda theory I've heard about. There's much you've not heard about. You need to learn about unlimited power. If he was meant to be Dark Yoda, I would have had a hard time taking him seriously, even as a Padawan. Well, I think. All right, here's further argument about that. If you look at the original Star Wars trilogy, right? When we get introduced into Yoda, he is a goofball. We can't take him seriously, when Luke meets him. Luke thinks he's just some crazy little golem troll dude living in the middle of the swamp, and this guy's supposed to be what, a Jedi master. But you see, it's a tool of deception, and it's interesting that Yoda of all people would use a Sith method of deception. But it was everybody loves Yoda, and so if you look at the prequels, Jar Jar was following in those footsteps, because the Sith practice deception a lot. That's one of their key things about what they do. They hide their intentions, and he disguises a lot of his combat through acting like a goofball. He disguises a lot of his intentions about what he wants to do by acting like a goofball. And so you're able, when you act like a goofball, what do people do? People let their guard down and people let you in. And when they do that, you get to hear more of what people really think, and how they feel about things. And they're more likely to talk about secrets and all this other stuff. They're not as guarded because they don't take you seriously. They don't respect you. And, Jar Jar through those prequels would always find a way to keep himself in the loop to where he would always be within earshot shot of important information. Um, Manipulating things, potentially behind the scenes, and so I really do believe, he was supposed to be a dark Yoda. If you look at the original films, Yoda was a goofball, but in the prequels, Yoda was more serious. It's interesting, the change. It's all cool. The guy bumbles around dropping tools and pod racers being in the front line. That's true. Go back and watch those. One argument that some people make, and it's a legit one. You ever heard of drunken kung fu? It's a real style. I'm not for sure if that was created the post-communist movement in China or if it was predated. I like to think it was predated. For the sake of my argument, I probably shouldn't do this, but I'm going to say that drunken kung fu was created pre-communist China. So anyway, there's reasons why that's relevant and why it's not. I'm not going to get into the whole big thing, but anyway, freaking drunken kung fu is about deception. It's where you have these fluid movements that are very unorthodox, and so people don't know how to react to you. If you look at the scene where there's the big battle with the droids, and then there's what's his face, Jar Jar, and he's just haphazardly all over the place, but for some reason he never dies. He should have been easily killed near the beginning of the battle, but he always ends up coming out on top, and everything seems like it's a contrived accident the way that things unfold. Um, but there's a lot of interesting little scenes throughout the films. Like for example, there's one, I don't know if it's the first movie or not, where uh, Jar Jar, I think Padme, Obi-Wan, and somebody else. I can't remember. It's a little group of people. They're walking down a street, and they get confronted by these droids. And see, no. It's something like it. It's like a bridge overpass, and everybody kind of jumps down. But out of frame, Jar Jar acts like he's going to jump down, but he holds on to the ledge and he waits till everybody does something in the battle, and then he hops down. I can't explain it to you, but everything he does is very controlled and very calculated. There's even like if you look at some replays and you look at them slowly when there's no action going on, sometimes you actually see him do the Jedi wave of manipulation, where he suggests something, but he never says anything when he does it. He just does it with his hands, and it's very, very, barely noticeable. And I think some of these might have been in deleted scenes or whatever. Uh, but he would use his influence there too. But everything is about being a goofball. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me why his people did not like him at the start of the movie. They wouldn't take him seriously, but for some reason he's able to talk them into doing something that he needs, and then by the end of it he becomes general. How is this guy still within the higher ranks of inner circles within the power of the like the intergalactic Senate, the Republic or whatever? How does he end up standing beside um, Emperor Palpatine on that platform of all the people, They got him, you know. It's there's some stuff going on there, in my opinion. Langston writes, I can say as a goofball during high school, it's true. It is true. But I was really hoping that in the newer movies that Jar Jar would have been redeemed and everybody had been like, because it would have made the prequels that much more like if you went back and watched them, like, oh wow, that's awesome, you know, the whole time this is what was going on, and we got caught up in Count Dooku when that was the special sauce, you know. So moving away from Star Wars just a little bit, you know, I just want to say again, you know, like, you know, if you finding yourself getting behind on your work, on your passions, on stuff that you need to do, you're not making the time that you need to do, you're not taking it serious enough, you know what you need to do and you're not doing it, then you need to become a little Sith Lord and you need to get a lightsaber and start smashing shit. You get mad. You need to get all Kylo Ren up in here and get emo because your life's important. It has meaning. You know, some of that meaning is what you bring to it, and some of it is just cosmic. If we want to get all Silver Surfer up in here, but whatever it is, you know, make it mean something. Because nobody's gonna, you know, approach you and pat you on the back and make sure that you're doing what you should be doing. Getting the extension cord here. There we go. Let's hook the cord up. Will I make it? Oh yeah, yeah, with 4%. Awesome. That's a Christmas miracle. Let's put this right there. Perfect. Move this cord out of the way. That's just what everybody wants to see is a big cord. But yeah, I mean, get mad. get something, you know. Let that anger rise. Don't let it consume you, but let it be a motivator, you know. Because I guess the thing that I'm preaching is basically let your emotions work for you, not against you. If you allow yourself to succumb to your emotions, to let your decisions and everything be dictated by how you feel, that's not good. But now, if you, on the flip side of that, if you conjure emotions in yourself to make something happen, to make something positive in your life come about, then you're doing the right thing. You know, you've got the right frame of mind. You know, use that anger for unlimited power. Channel it. Put it to work for you. You know, not against you. I mean, of all the things to get angry about, why not get angry at yourself for when you're coming up short? You know. Guy kind of looks like he's got an apron on. I don't know. It's supposed to be like a freaking like a bulletproof vest type of deal. What I'll end up doing is when I'm not filming and stuff, I like to get reference out. I'm a big reference guy. Neil Adams. Neil Adams is the greatest Sith Lord, and he likes to crush your soul if you dare show your portfolio to him because he's got this canned response and his whole big thing is about reference, 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 reference. You know, that's pretty much his whole speech is reference, reference, and more reference. So anyway, you kind of get the point. You can look it up on YouTube. He says the same thing to pretty much everybody, you know, regardless of what portfolio they show to him. And And I guess it's because it's applicable. It's sound advice. If you don't know how to draw something, don't fake it unless you're like on a deadline or something. That's my personal opinion. But don't fake it when you can get on the internet and look it up and know how to draw it for real. And over time, of course, you'll figure out ways to. God, this guy is buff as hell. It's a little malnourished here, maybe. I don't know. But anyway, let's see. What was I thinking? Biscuits and gravy. I don't know what I was saying. Must not be that important. Okay, let's see. No younglings will ever be safe. No, not when Anakin's around. They will never be safe. But I guess if we're going to entertain the dark side, and assume for a second, let's play devil's advocate and say that the Sith are the good guys, just for the sake of argument. Why would Anakin be sent, Darth Vader be sent to kill the younglings? And the only logical answer to that, the only cold rational, is they've been indoctrinated in the Jedi ways, and they would eventually be a threat to the Empire later on. Because the Jedi and the Sith are at eternal war, but there's really, you can't really. It's really hard to justify, killing kids. But that's the reason I say playing devil's advocate here. But like, I don't know, the Sith are very, very cold in their reasoning, even though they embrace their emotions. Man, they're so cold in their reasoning, very, very logical. Um, they see potential threats and everything, and they go about eliminating them. Um, they start wars in order to prevent wars. As crazy as that sounds, that's they're playing a big game of chess. They're where they're very proactive. The Jedi tend to be very reactive. Episode 1 equals fear. Episode 2, talking about the prequels, I think the prequels. Episode 1 is fear. Episode 2 is an anger episode. Episode 3 is hate. Episodes 4, 5, and 6 is suffering. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. Yes. I do believe there is truth to that. Sometimes our fears in life push us to, we go from being afraid to getting angry, and not in a good way, in a negative way, where we're lashing out, and then we begin to hate. It's pretty much the story of the X-Men, in the early days, where the X-Men were persecuted and all this other stuff because people feared them because they didn't understand them and all this other stuff. And then that fear led to anger, like, what's the government going to do to protect us from these mutants, and they're, how do we prevent ourselves from becoming mutants, and da 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 da, what's going on here? And that leads to hate, so, if you go that rationale route, going into X-Men now. Let's see if I can pull this camera back so you can actually see what I'm working on. That's a little better, I think. So I think this page is coming together pretty good. The only thing I don't like about it, other than this wonky guy in the background, but that's what an eraser's for, is this line right here. Maybe I'll grow some balls and I'll try I'll try to cross hatch it to wherever it needs to go. I don't know. And maybe with this blacked out and stuff, who knows? Let's see. I'd say the Sith had an insurrection in episode 3, then consolidated all their power in the Senate to create the Jedi cost. Yeah, yeah. That in the prequels, that's pretty much what on the surface, without looking at the deeper meaning of the prequels. On the surface, that's pretty much the game that the Sith were playing. Was partly wasn't just about consolidating power. Well, it was all about consolidating power. It was also about getting rid of the Jedi, because if the Jedi were around, they would never allow the Sith to rise to power. They're just so opposed to one another, and so that makes sense. I mean, the whole thing with the droid army was all about creating a crisis, so that way the public, through their fear, would agree to a clone army, and then that turn and then allowed going even further, the threat of the droid army and all this other stuff allowed Palpatine to consolidate his power to become the emperor, as opposed to, like, president of the Senate or whatever the heck he was, because he needed more war powers to protect the Republic. Um, so yeah, I guess I'm agreeing with you. Let's see. Despain writes, watching episode 8 caused a lot of suffering. Yes. An unlimited power. Where's your ruler? Well, I got the ruler handy. It's right here. If you look, I got a lot of these marks on it. Like, I've gotten the habit of, like, just kind of doing that, and I smudge them out, when I don't need them, or just leave them on. An episode. Oh, I can't read Roman numerals. I'm going to say that's 4. An episode IV is in the medias res of the Galactic War with the rebels. Yeah. Do cross hatching with the ruler. Oh. Okay. I'll probably the way I usually do it, and I'm not saying this is the right way to do it. I'll do like some crude cross hatching, starting out with a pencil, and then when it comes time to go inking, then I'll start getting serious, and then I'll use a ruler, or sometimes I'll go freehand, But I kind of give myself an idea of where I kind of want to go. And I'm not really for sure if I want to leave this cross hatching on here, because this, unless I change my mind, this will be black, right? And so I want the cross hatching to kind of blend into the background, so that way it's not so abrupt, cutting into her head here. I could be overthinking it, but I feel like that's a thing. I don't know. He's going full bleed. 4, episode 4. All right. So I wasn't that far off with the Roman numerals. Pat myself on the back. I think that's the best thing I said all night, that I could guess that was episode 4. Yes. I made a calculated guess, because it was like IV, and I feel like maybe V's like 5. or three. No, three's the actual like that line. So I don't know, whatever. Uh, let's see, what else can I do to this page? I think I want to hold off drawing anything else on this page because I really need to get my reference and stuff out. I need to make the Sith Master Neil Adams happy uh, because if you got access to the internet, there's no reason why you can't make sure that you know how to draw it right. Right? And let's see, let's get this out. Let's take a look here. Basically, this whole scene here is a bunch of human refugees, and I try to do little things to show that they're not having a good time. Like this woman here's got like some of her clothing's torn, and then I don't know if I really did this justice, but like if this was colored, like maybe this is like a light blue, and this would be like orange or red or yellow. It's like some different color because the sleeve in her arm has gotten torn and she's like stitched on like another sleeve or something. So a lot of little things like that. Try to show people kind of disheveled, unshaven. Um, didn't really intend for this, but kind of like guest appearance by Jesus there. Not literal Jesus. I mean, if you want to, doesn't matter. Put him in there. Uh, got people eating food. This guy's got a bowl. He's sitting on a really crudely drawn milk crate, the best milk crate drawn in the business. Um, we got this guy. He looks kind of like he's ate well in the post-apocalypse. Um, the vibe I'm kind of doing here is like a woman with um, really fricked up looking hair. Let's kind of do something of contrast to her hair where it's straight and still kind of pretty, but like I guess it's probably frayed if you look at it up close. Not saying that you could do that with this, but like if she was a real person. Um, yeah, I need to draw some more peoples. Coat of many colors. Yes, yes. Uh, which many people today know coat of many colors, not for the biblical reference, but also for the really good freaking Dolly Parton movie. I actually really enjoyed that movie, Coat of Many Colors. It was a good movie. Sequel didn't have the same magic as the first one, but it was good. I like the guy with the eyes not saying anything. Let's see, which guy is that? I'm looking here. Trying to figure out where eye guy is at. I'll find him. This turned like an episode of Where's Waldo. Okay, so man, I drew these people kind of big, and I'm gonna make this a child. I'm gonna try to make this a child, and maybe that'll rationalize the size differential. Use some big words here. Make the head a little bit bigger. Kids, freaking body is like their head is bigger than their body, and then usually their body grows to catch up with their head. Basically, kind of doing. I know you can't really see. I'm doing like a Charlie Brown looking thing. The Jesus dude. Yes. Yeah, I kind of did like this gesture and stuff like that, and I've given like quite a few of these people like a cloak. Not all of them, but some of them. Got their togas on, and because it's cold and stuff. And when I was drawing him, he originally didn't have a beard, but it's like one of these things where I wanted to show people with beards and stubble and all this other crap. And like, well, he just ended up looking like Jesus. if that's what Jesus looked like, more than likely he had more of a Middle Eastern kind of look, probably um, very dark skinned. I wouldn't say like his skin would be like dark, but like definitely Mediterranean looking, and his hair probably wasn't very straight, probably very kinky, very curly, very curly hair. If I would assume that those of us who are blessed to see him one day, we would probably wouldn't recognize him. If he was walking down the street or something like that, and we'd overlook him. That's not me being mean. That's just saying. Well, a lot of our man, that's one weird looking kid. I know you can't see from this distance, but you just have to trust me. He's just not. He ain't too bad. But a lot of our interpretations of Jesus of Nazareth look like is based off of a lot of paintings during the Renaissance from Europeans, doing their interpretations, that type of thing. Let's see. Why has he got that look on his face? It's interesting. Why am I going this route? It's like an Indian. Well, no, he's not sitting like an Indian quiet. I need to freaking draw his feet. Kind of. There we go. That's better. Let's see. Right. Dolly is from my hometown. You have an excellent hometown. One of the cool things about Dolly Parton that I've always heard is like, basically her entire family's employed at Dollywood. A lot of people say that she seems to be like a genuine good person. I've never met her, but it's what I always heard. Sideburns right. Jesus isn't black or white. He's Lord. I like it. That's cool. Let's see. Rendering a mess of people is a trash chore. Yeah, yeah. But I'm getting to where I like it, and I think the reason is why I'm getting to that point is because I'm getting more confident with my art. I'm not like super confident, but like I think I've reached a point to where like I realize like, hey, when I first started drawing this page, it looked awful. It looked like crap. But it's like the more I just sat and drawed on it and drawed on it and drawed on it, not just this page, but many, many, many other pages, the more I just sit and draw, it starts to look good. You know, I mean that's my opinion. I mean, other people could be watching this video or see me posting on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook or whatever, and they look at Martin like, man, you're terrible, but they just don't say it. But to me, anyway, uh, like right now, this don't look that good, and that don't look that good or that, but it's something for me to work from, so I slop it on there and then I just keep tinkering with it until it looks you know. And one of my goals is, one of the people that I'm wanting to study a lot of is George Perez, because he draws like all kinds of people on here, and he does like these 9 panel pages, right? And he's able to like go look at his Teen Titans run from the '80s. Go look up his iBots run for that Techno Comics. Go look up his run on what he did on Malibu Comics' Breakthrough, and also he drew something else, and I can't remember what he did. Something else he did for Ultra Force. And you look at his 9 panels or 10 panels he would do a page, and even though the panel's like this itty bitty, like he would draw something in that panel, even though it's that itty bitty, and it would look big. It would look cool. It would, you know, it just, I don't know. He's able to draw small stuff, and it just looks great. And and so my whole big thing is trying to channel a little bit of that idea of George Perez, where just draw a bunch of stuff, and when you draw it, don't just like slop it on and be like that's good enough. I mean, there's a time and place for that type of attitude, you know. Um, but like if you got the time, put the effort in, you know, and the effort I want to put in for like a panel like this is George Perez, you know, or at least that's what kind of what I'm shooting for. And I just feel like he just does so well with that type of stuff. Let's see. I guess it's kind of weird thing this kid's doing here, but I don't know why he's just staring out. Maybe this is the first time he's seen a pretty girl, even though she don't look too pretty right there. Cool dude though. Cool dude indeed. I hope I ain't being controversial. No, you're not being controversial. You know, like everybody here on this tiny little corner of YouTube, yins can say whatever you want because I feel like you know most everybody, if not everybody that watches my show, comes from a place of like you know to be all hippie, place of love, you know, like where it's just like talking, you know, and to be crude, shooting shit, you know, just being real with one another, you know, and you know, it's like a thing where I really like for humanity to remember to agree to disagree. That's what makes civilization possible. Is when you reach like different points of view or different you know ideas and they just clash and they don't mix well. You know that you reach a point where everybody's just like agree to disagree. And I'm not saying that's whatever, but I just felt that was a good segue into that. And you know, people just don't seem to do that anymore. I wish people would get back to that, you know, because at the end of the day, we all have to be neighbors again. You know, we all have to, you know, go to work and stuff like that. We can't let our politics, our religions, or lack of religions, and all these other things get to the point where we're just fostering all this hate and resentment in our heart, and we just, you know, want to kill each other. You know, I mean, just if you want to be mad at somebody, be mad at all the politicians in Washington, you know, not to be a straddle pole and not say who's doing wrong or this or that, you know, because the fact is, honest to goodness, a lot of them are really good friends. You know, they just pretend on camera to really dislike one another. And I'm not going to get into the whole particulars of that. But you're not saying anything controversial. It's fine. Be controversial. The kid looks like a Banjo Kid from Deliverance. Hmm. Okay. That saved me the trouble of drawing a foot. I need some reference for this. Man, yeah, I tell you what, playing a banjo is hard. I mean, I've never really tried to seriously play it before, but I have, you know, picked them up in like guitar shops and stuff like that, and just kind of made up my own little weird tune with it and stuff like that. And then, you know, and usually like you'd find them in a Christian bookstore that also sold musician gear and stuff like that. One time I'm trying to pick up a pack of strings. I'm like, oh, here's a banjo, and I start playing something that sounds like a metal tune on it. You know, it's just they're just an interesting instrument. Yeah. Okay. Maybe he's amazed not because he's looking at the girl. Maybe like he sees Van Halen in the room somewhere, just blown away. Like, oh, Van Halen's here. I can imagine crowds can be difficult because it's meant to look like people overlapping each other, but you can flatten a crowd as long as it's consistent. Yeah, I tell you what, one of the problems I do have with this is sizing issue. I think I've done pretty good overall, but there are problems. Like when I draw people, like if there's anyone behind this lady, that person needs to be smaller, and the person behind this guy, it needs to be smaller, smaller, smaller. And then you have to look at like, I'm getting away with a few things because clearly these people here are sitting, but we got people in the background standing. So there's a lot of issues with that, but I would like to show you one thing that's helped me, and I hope it helps you too. Um, Earlier in the video, I was talking about studying Jack Kirby, right? And I'm really into Jack Kirby. Let me get a pen so you can see what I'm doing. Um, how about a permanent marker? Make it permanent, part of the permanent record. But I remember that there was um, a splash page that Jack Kirby did for the Fantastic Four, and it opened up my mind in really cool ways. Um, and let's see, let's say, can I do that? And it appears, in my opinion, that when he did this, it was a splash page of the Fantastic Four, and here they all are in the piece. And let's say, all right, let me see if I can draw this fairly quickly. It's kind of started out with a marker, but then I ended up going rogue here, going straight to the pencil. That's just because I want to be able to erase. Like I'm trying to explain something that I feel like is an important thing that was very helpful for me, and I don't want to mess up. I want to make sure that I get the idea across of what it was that I felt like I discovered. Okay, so we've got what I assume is Mr. Fantastic. I mean, can I do a little hand thing off panel? So, all right. So I want you to go look at freaking anything that Jack Kirby's done, especially when he does a splash page. You're going to find one character on that splash page, and that's going to be the main character that he's going to use to like line everything up. So and I can't remember which issue this was in, but you might recognize it later on. But like you had I don't know, it could have been Reed in the foreground. So what he would do is go in by the eyes. Okay, the eyes is going to be where you're going to measure at. So this is going to be your main figure, and everything from him starts from him. So the next figure I draw is the top of their head is going to go line up with the eyes, the top of the head. Okay, and just kind of put this crap in there and all this other stuff. And oh man, I'm going to give myself a challenge now. So yeah, hell, don't judge me, okay? But don't you do it. I can draw better than this, I promise. But this is all just me doing my thing. Trying to go quick here to explain this cool, what I feel like is a cool discovery. I don't know how Jens feel about it. There's a okay. All right, so we've got Reed Richards. There's his eyes. So right where his eyes at is going to be the top of this next character's head, which is the thing. So following that same rule, top of head, measuring with the thing's eyes, and we'll say that this will be Sue, and she's going to look really bad because I don't know. Not too bad. She's turning out fairly decent. Okay, and then come here and hey, ain't bad. Ain't bad at all. Could be better. And then going a little bit further, we got Johnny, and God, why is she so mad? She's very angry. So because her eyes are right here, top that's going to be the top of Johnny's head, and everything just gets a little smaller as it goes into the distance, and it just measures out really good, I think. Then we'll put his eyes here, mouth, whatever. I'm not going to put him on fire because I'm just going to cheat and just kind of draw him in his human form. But anyway, that was just like a cool thing to discover that Jack Kirby did. So like I'm sorry that the paper's wiggling. This is like really cheap 11 by 17 paper. I like to use this to sketch on. It's awesome. But anyway, so you got your main figure, and right at Reed's eyes, we got the top of Thing's head. Right at Thing's eyes, we got the top of Sue's head, but which her hair is kind of, hair kind of stacks on top of your head. And then we got her eyes, and that's going to be the top of Johnny's head. And then, the cool thing is Jack Kirby does this not just like this, where it's like simple, but there's like other things. I can't really do it justice, but like, and I ain't doing like a big full thing here. That'd be crazy. But maybe he's got one of these deals going on, got kind of a character like flying through there type of deal, and so there's his eyes, whoever this would be. And so if there's somebody else in the shot, let's say that they're going to be right here, and so the top of their head's going to line up with his eyes, and okay, there they are. And so since the eyes are here on this character, there's going to be another character out here, and the top of their head would be there. Since their eyes are right there, there's going to be another character and put them right here. And you see how that just, you see what I'm talking about? How it comes together? You have your central character, and then based off that character, you just kind of bounce around, and it's all based off the eyes. And that's the way he would do it. He wouldn't always go by the eyes. And I think it was like, I don't think it was a formula he had. I think he just kind of like, kind of parted it out. But that's a thing. And I noticed that Rob Liefeld does that. Jim Lee on occasions. If you want a good example of this thing that I'm talking about, eyes to the top of the head layout thing, go look at Star Wars posters. Okay, I'm learning a lot from Star Wars posters in terms of composition and stuff like that. And that's all they do is that they'll take a character that freaking you know I ain't gonna do this justice, but we'll see. So like they'll take we'll have somebody with a big freaking head, and this will be the main thing, whatever this will be, right? This will be the main focus of the poster. All right, so they got that in. So they're like, okay, and then they just put a bunch of random crap on here. So here's his eyes. So of course there's going to be someone else here doing something, and then because that person's there over here, we're going to have a figure standing. We're going to have two figures, because it's going to be like a scene out of the movie. There's going to be a sword here, lightsaber, and we got their eyes there. And you might be able to put something else right here, and then R2D2 or whatever. I don't know. And then you can put something random on the bottom of here, and on it goes. But it's just a cool little thing I learned. So look at Jack Kirby stuff and look at Star Wars posters. So we're reaching to the end of the show. Let's see. Let me look at a few comments here. I'm just kidding. He looks fine. Nice. So anyway, that's all for tonight. Hopefully I'll do another one here soon. As always, love y'all. Keep up the good work. Okay. Keep drawing, keep writing, inking, lettering, coloring, whatever it is that you're wanting to do in life. Just keep at it. Don't give up. Use anger as a motivator if you have to. And as always, I will see you in the next video.